Another day, another dollar. Thank the Lord for another 24. Just get back to the crib. Late night grind at the gym. Chest day. Got a little chest money in the day, baby. $3.95 on the bench. My strength is slowly creeping back up, baby. I love it. Get right into the video, though. Correctional officer hiring video. I got a couple requests from people from my previous videos to make a video talking about the hiring process as far as going in for your interview, you know, taking, doing the panel interview, the core value assessments, the psychological exam, stuff like that, all the stuff that you're going to do when you go in. When you finally get that call to come in for the interview, you know, you've been going back and forth with HR at whatever facility, prison or jail you're trying to apply to. They finally call you in for the interview. I'm going to give you some tips, you know, to help you be successful and to successfully pass your interview, you know. So the first thing, before you even go in there, you know, appearance is everything. Appearance matters. It's a business meeting. You got to treat it like, you know, you're trying to get a job. This is your livelihood, you know. So before you even go, you know, you need to make sure if you clean shaven, you want to shave, you know, all the basics. Make sure your nails, hair is groomed, your beard, you got a beard, make sure it's trimmed up nice. You know, wear a suit in there. Don't go in there wearing some jeans. You know, be professional. This is a business meeting. You know, you trying to get the job. You want the job. You have to show them that you're a professional. You take the job seriously. You really want the job. You know, even if you're going to be wearing a correctional officer uniform, you know, we wear, you know, a uniform, BDU pants with a uniform shirt, a vest with all this equipment on our duty belt. But before, you know, you still want to treat it as such. You got to be a professional. So going into it, you know, you go in there, you're doing the panel interview, they're asking you questions, you know, stuff like why you're a good fit for the job, telling them about yourself. You may be seated in front of like a sergeant, a lieutenant, a captain, a associate warden, somebody from human resources. It may be a panel of them, depending on what facility you applied at. I can't remember. It's been a while since I got on. I got hired on at the county jail back in 2011. And I got hired on at the feds, the federal prison, Bureau of Prisons, back in 2013. So it's been a minute. My memory's a little fuzzy. But I asked some of my coworkers that I'm cool with that have got hired on recently, you know, what to expect, you know, to kind of give me a refresher so I can give y'all a good video, you know. But when you sitting in that panel interview, they're asking you all these different questions. You know, first they may start off asking you to tell them about yourself, why you're a good fit for the job. And that's basically you're trying to sell yourself in the best light as possible. You know, you got to really sell yourself. If you got prior experience, tell them about that. You know, tell them about your background, you know, why you're interested in the job, how you heard about the job, you know, why you'll be a good fit, you know, tell them you've been doing your research, you've been online reading articles, you know, and you think you would be a good fit at their facility, you know. Going into the core value assessments, or like the psychological exam. Those are basically like questions. They may sit you down and you got to fill out. You have to do a test, or they may ask you these questions, you know, from they may be reading these questions from like you know, some paperwork. And then what they're gauging to see is they want to see how you react in certain situations. How's your temperament? What's your mindset like, you know, because you have to be a certain type of person to be able to work in corrections, to be able to work in the prison system or work at a county jail. They just don't want to hire anybody. They may be short-staffed, right? But they can't just bring anybody in to that type of environment. You know what I'm saying? You have to have the right temperament. You know, working in corrections, the big part of it is having good communication skills. You have to be able to articulate yourself, especially when you're working with inmates. You have to have great communication skills, de-escalation skills. You have to be able, when an inmate goes from here to here, you know, and it may be potential violence, something like that. They want to see, can you talk these inmates back down, use your skills, and use violence as a last resort, or having to physically restrain the inmate or take them to the floor, you know. So when they ask you certain questions on these psychological exams or these scenario-based questions, they want to see how you're going to respond. And the key to it is you have to choose the most appropriate answer from the least appropriate answer. You have to choose the most politically correct answer, you know, and that should be your number one choice. You know, you have to think You may not have no background or prior experience in corrections, but when you're looking at the questions, it may be like a multiple choice. They may ask you what you would do in that situation. You have to think policy and procedure. Things like, say an inmate gets up in your face, what are you going to do? Or you see two inmates fighting. Are you going to run right into it, start trying to break it up by yourself? Or are you going to get on your walkie-talkie and call it in, call that you need assistance on your unit? You got two inmates fighting, give them verbal commands to stop fighting, kind of wait, till your backup arrives, your help arrives. An inmate gets in your face, y'all got some words, y'all have, a verbal altercation. They want to know what you're going to do in that type of scenario. Are you just going to go gung-ho on them, punch them in the face, slam them to the floor automatically, or are you going to try to talk them back down and use physical force as a last resort? That's the type of things they're looking for. They want to see your temperament. They want to see how you react in certain situations. You see an inmate trying to escape over the fence. Are you willing and able to shoot that inmate if he poses an imminent threat to himself or the safe or running of the correctional facility that you're going to work at? If he has a gun coming at you, he may have got a gun somehow from somewhere. He's over the fence. He's running at you, pointing the gun. Can you use lethal force to take him out? Those are the type of questions they're going to ask you. So when you're taking these type of tests, though, like I said, the thing to remember, you have to pick the most politically correct answer, the one that sounds like it's it goes the most with the policy and procedure. And like I said, you may not know, what's going on in a correctional setting. This may be your first time. You have to, just like I said, say an inmate coming at you and they have, let's say they got three different answers, or I'm sorry, say y'all have a verbal altercation. They have three different answers. Are you going to just automatically slam them to the floor, start cussing them out? No. Or are you going to try to talk them down, try to de-escalate the situation? And if that doesn't work, get on your walkie-talkie, call for assistance, hit your panic alarm button on your walkie-talkie, and if he start coming at you, use self-defense, the tactics they teach you when you go to the academy. Stuff like that, man. That's basically what it boils down to. The psychological, they got to see your sight. They got to see how you think. Can you think quick? Can you spring into action when things happen? You got a medical emergency on your unit. An inmate fall out. What are you going to do? They want to know what you're going to do. Are you just going to stand there? Are you going to call 911? You are the first line of defense in the prison. The 911, they're going to call them after the fact, after they get the situation sorted out. So as a correctional worker, you're the first line. You're the first responder, not 911, not the fire department. Because even, let's say the goddamn prison is on fire, they just started a riot. Y'all finally get a call out to the fire department. They could be 20, 30, 40 minutes away from the facility. You're the first line responder. You have an inmate fall out on your unit. He having a heart attack or something. You have to be able to spring into action. Get on your walkie-talkie. Call for medical assistance immediately. Survey the scene. Make sure it's not a setup. Working in a correctional environment, you have to keep in mind now you're dealing with convicts. You're dealing with inmates. It could be a decoy possibly. You have to think like that. An inmate could fall out, but he could be faking so you can run over there and some other inmates jump on you and start assaulting you, So you got to survey the scene. Make sure it's safe. Call for assistance first. That's the first thing you do. You want to have as much backup and help as you can, especially in a correctional setting, because 9 times out of 10, when you're working in a housing unit, typically you're outnumbered at all times by the inmates. For instance, when the unit I work at, the prison I'm at, it's one officer, just me. And I think when I was working last night, there was 114 inmates, So at all times, you're outnumbered. So say, for instance, like I said, the inmate fell out, had a medical emergency. The inmates may come get me, be like, yo, this inmate just fell out. You need to get over there and see yo real quick. I'm going to get on my wall. I'm going to walk over there, surveying the scene, checking, making, I'm on high alert. Because I've had that happen to me before. I had that happen last year where an inmate had 2 heart attacks in the shower. And I had to do CPR, and I saved his life. If I didn't start CPR, he would have probably died. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, get on my walkie-talkie, go over there, assess the scene. I'll get over there to his cell or wherever he's at. I see him out. You know, I may give them some verbal command. Hey, you okay? You know, start shaking them. You know, try to turn him over, see, you know, make sure he's breathing and whatnot. If he ain't breathing, start CPR and just wait for help to arrive. Those are the type of scenario questions they're going to ask. They may ask you this one too, you know, say the warden of your prison gets taken hostage. The inmate has a knife to his throat and he has him at the gate, and you, the tower officer, you know, you got the gun and you have the control to open the gate to let the inmate escape the prison. They may ask you something like that. You know, do you let the warden out? No. You may not know that, like I said, coming in, never having prior correctional officer experience, you know, but you have to remember this. As a correctional staff, in the event of a hostage situation, you lose your rank and you lose your authority, you know. So even if it's the warden, the big dog, the CEO of the prison, he gets taken hostage, he loses his stripes, he loses his rank, all of that, man. You can't under no circumstances open that gate and allow that inmate to escape. You know, your number one job as a correctional officer is the safe, orderly running of that facility. What does that pertain? That means making sure that the inmates are not trying to escape, effectuate and escape. They're not trying to, they're not fighting. They're not in there assaulting each other, trying to get high off a K2, smoking dope. That creates a dangerous situation. Trying to stab each other, making sure there's no medical emergencies going on. You trying to control the contraband, you know, the stuff they're not supposed to have. Make sure they're going to get over you sometimes. You can't control everything, but your job is to make sure to try to control as much flow of the contraband that's coming in and out of the prison, and, you know, going unit to unit as you can. That's your job as a correctional officer, you know. So like I said, going into it, you know, keep a positive mindset. Go into it, you know, with a positive attitude. Be dressed to impress. You know, clean yourself up. You know, clean shaven. Wear you a suit. Wear a tie. Shit, wear the whole thing. You know, a suit jacket, all that. When I went to my interviews, both times I wore a suit. You know, I was like I was going to a funeral, or I was a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Like I said, even if I knew I was going to be wearing a correctional officer uniform, I still treated it as a business meeting, because that's what it is. You know, you want the job, don't you? You have to present the best version of yourself as possible. You know, like I said, don't go in there wearing no damn jeans, wearing some combat boots, shit like that. You know, save that for another day. You know, maybe you in annual training, you can wear that then. But this is a business meeting. You know, those type of questions they're going to ask you. You know, you could probably go online and get some more help, you know, and go on YouTube, go on Google, see what other people are saying. Like I said, it's been a while for me since I went through the hiring process. I remember vaguely some of the things that went down though during the hiring process. They were asking me those type of questions, you know, why I wanted the job, asked me like my background, asking me, you know, those situational situations that may occur in the prison. You know, they just want to see how you're going to react. What's your temperament? Are you easily ticked off? Can the inmates easily manipulate you? You know, if an inmate comes up, they may ask you if an inmate comes up to you, yeah, he offers a proposition where he's willing. He said he wants to give you $500 for you to bring in a pack of cigarettes. You know, that's common sense. You know, they want to see. They may ask, what are you going to do in that situation? You know, the proper procedure, you know, is to immediately report that. You know, you got to write that up. You need to call your supervisor, call somebody to come get him off the unit, and you need to make write an incident report, and, you know, get him locked up, get him off the unit. You know, those are the type of things. When you going into it too, always think, you know, policy and procedure. Like I said, I know y'all may not know a lot of the policy and procedure, but when you're looking at the questions or the things that are going to be asked, you try to think, you know, in terms of the most politically, what sounds the best, what sounds like it goes the most with standard procedure working in that type of environment, you know. And if it's like a multiple choice test, if 9 times out of 10, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. That's probably not the best answer, you know. Try to think in terms of like, what would the correctional officer, somebody who embodies what a correctional officer is, what would they do in that situation? You know, you got to think stuff like they're going to immediately report it. You know, they're going to call for backup, call for assistance. You know, they're going to remain professional, even when you may have an inmate up in your face trying to cuss you out, or behind the cell cussing you out. You know, you can't just do things just because an inmate call you some things out of your name, talking shit to you. They're in a lockdown unit. You can't just pop the door and go in there and start wailing on them, slamming them up against the wall. That's the quickest way to lose your job. I've seen it. I've seen people do stuff like that, man. They pop the door, you know, just because an inmate may have gotten over them, threw something on them, possibly assaulted them through the door. You know, in the lockdown unit, you pop the food slot, the inmate reach out and punch them or something, you know, and they lose their cool. You have to be able to maintain your composure in there under stressful situations, man. That's a big component of working in correction. I've been in situations like that, you know, inmate trying to get under my skin, saying this and that. I hardly said 2 words to him, you know. There's been times where I may have had some back and forth, some words with him, you know, but I learned to walk away, because you got to think. Everything you do, man, there's cameras everywhere, just about, in most prisons now. So whatever you do, it's on camera. For one, the eye in the sky never lies, you know. So if you said you did this, when in reality you swung on the inmate, but you saying in your report that you took him to the ground because he swung on you and you were acting in self-defense, and the camera shows otherwise, you out of a job, you know? So always think policy, and procedure, man. Think about it in them terms, you know. You can go online, like I said, on Google, YouTube, you know, read up some more on the policy and procedure. I'm not going to give y'all everything. I'm not going to spoon feed y'all, you know what I'm saying, because you may be going to a different facility. You may be trying to get hired on in the county jail. You have to think of this too. You know, every agency, every facility in the United States or wherever you're trying to apply to, they operate differently. Everybody has different policies and procedures. You know, for instance, I'm going to give y'all a good example. When I worked at the county jail, when I was on night shift, we were required we had to do a round on the unit to make sure the inmate weren't trying to hang themselves, fight and stuff like that every hour, you know. Where I'm at now with the feds, it's every 30 minutes. If you like on a lockdown unit, something like that, you gotta do irregular rounds every 30 minutes. So, like I said, every institution operates differently, you know. Going into it too, you want to keep this in mind. If you got prior correctional officer experience, say you coming from a state prison or a county jail, you know, and you're going to a federal prison or something like that, bureau of prison, you're trying to get on with the feds, you have to keep this in mind too, man. They probably not 9 times out of 10 going to do things how you did at your old institution. So you got to go into it, you know. You can't be like going into the interview saying, well, this is how we did shit at the prison I worked at, you know. That's one of the quickest ways to get dismissed too, because that shows the hiring panel that you're not able to adapt. You know, you have to be able to adapt. Sometimes you have to forget, you know, things you may have learned at your previous institution, you know. But if you learn some good correctional work at your institution, always take that with you, you know, as far as it was a good institution, as far as learning how to, you know, do proper pat search, cell searches, you know, was real strict, stuff like that. Take all your training you learned with you, but just know, keep in mind, going to another facility or another agency, they may do things a bit differently. They may have different policy and procedures in play. So you may have to tone it down. You may have to adjust how you operate as a correctional officer. You know what I'm saying? Y'all like this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel at The Ghetto Bodybuilder. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok at The Ghetto Bodybuilder. I have merchandise for sale. Shop with me. This is one of my gym shirts right here. Stack money, lift weights, repeat, man. Got a bankroll with the dumbbells. Everything you see on my website, I personally created myself. So anytime you buy a hoodie or a t-shirt from me, you personally supported my craft, my creativity, my vision, you know. But yeah, going into that interview, man, always try to pick the best answer you may come across when you're doing those psychological exams, and just keep in the back of your head, they're just trying to see and gauge how you react in certain situations. What's your temperament? What would you do in this situation? You know, always try to think what sounds the most politically correct, what sounds like standard operating procedure, you know, policy and procedure for that facility, you know, and you would do just good once you go through with your hiring process. Y'all know how we coming. Let's get motivated.